So, here we've got the old Git expounding. I'll tell you what, that old Git is facelift. Anyway, to continue, the Clipothic realm is the realm of shells. And here we've got the archdemons in the diagram. So you can see that after the light has been totally taken away from not only the human race, but all the aliens who have just been running the farm on planet Earth, which was wiped out by the Russian filth with their dead hand mechanism that went boom. So all of the farming was wiped out because of the self-science. Basically, it's like Frankenstein. You build a Frankenstein and it just kills you. So the same thing with the human race. The aliens built a Frankenstein and it killed them. The Frankenstein, of course, being the Russians, who make Frankenstein, I must admit, look like Adonis. If you wandered around the train looking at Russians, you go, holy fuck. These are abominations. No wonder the Ukrainians call them orcs. I think that's insulting orcs myself. So the tree of life is made from this process I talked about in the previous video, the stealing of the light. Why has it got 10 Sephiroth? Well, simply you've got the 5 of the Elohim, which is the only term in the Fibonacci series that's the same number as its position. So if you start with 1, not the 0, the 5th term of the Fibonacci series, if you haven't given away your light or you've acquired it, is 5. Hence, the Elohim's number is 5. Why the Fibonacci series? Because you've got heterosexual reproduction, male and female, which 1, 1 leads to 2. It's very simple. The Elohim aren't particularly smart. And therefore you've got 10 Sephiroth. Why have you got 10 Sephiroth? Well, remember we talked about the dual slit experiment, which proves that reality is a soliton. It's got 2 sides. There are 2, to make reality, you've got to have 2 realities, a top and a bottom, a universe A and a universe B. And if you've got 5, if you have another 5, what's 5 plus 5 in it?
10.
And how many Sephiroth?
10.
Exactly, so easily explained. And that's, the light is used to vivify their construct to make it real. So the tree of life is in fact the tree of death. But it's a tree of life for the Elohim. They're sucking the life out of the source. Well, they thought so. So they woke up in the Brazils, yeah. And once the light's taken out, thanks to the Russian filth who killed off the human race with their dead hand mechanism. Remember the war in Iran goes nuclear. The Russians give their nuclear umbrella to Iran. The Israelis detonate embedded nuclear weapons in Russia, and then Russia's dead hand mechanism launches at the US, and then the US wipes out the planet. That's why I did those videos, otherwise you wouldn't understand that the human race is dead thanks to the Russians. So if you wonder why you're a torture shell, it's because of the Russians. And of course, who is the race that most embraces Christianity? Well, it's the Russians. We're Christians. Everyone in the West is occult Satanists. No, you can see now that the greatest enemy of the human race was the Russians, because they love evil and hate good. They give their souls away to the Elohim. So you see, it's no coincidence that the Russians ended humanity. Now, with the light gone, you've got two options. The God Emperor Matrix, so we're now in a matrix as base reality has been wiped out. So this is just a shadow. You saw the nuclear shadows and the bombs of the people on the walls. And or it's the IOU, where you've got source level. So the new source is produced by the source level torture of the Elohim, who are now the creatures tortured in this process. So they made conscious verse tulpas from the light in the Abaddon boxes, put them into bodies from the Garden of Eden, and. But of course, in fact, what they did was install themselves into the conscious verse tulpas, were Adam and Eve, fell, and their IOU source suffering has been producing light to make the new source real from the IOU. And since Lucifer is part of the Elohim, the hidden part within, Lucifer would be suffering too, unless of course Lucifer lost the bet to Kalki. So Lucifer's power went to Kalki and the source, and Lucifer became a slave of the source, Kalki, so therefore escaped the retribution of the source. That's quite clever. By losing both bets. And we see the second bet was lost with Miley, who was already married. The lesser brother of the Hemsworth. Not Chris Hemsworth, the blow-by version of the Hemsworth. Now, this would mean that the tree of life is gone, but the tree of death, the shells, or the soulless, would be extant in the IOU. Because remember, in the Matrix, you're all simply suffering to produce new light for the new source me. But then, of course, you've got the option to create a new base reality from all the matrices that descend into source level torture as you go mad, wake up, go mad, wake up, go mad, wake up, as explained in the MP3s. You've got a new base level which is possible from the IOU and the agent of transmission of the new source light from the source level torture of the Elohim in their Abaddon boxes. So instead of Katy Perry waking up in her Abaddon box, is the Elohim in Katy Perry's tulpad soul. The same with DiCaprio and the rest of them. Oh, that's a bit of a mindfuck. Timmy boy? Yes, yes, but you're not super conscious intelligence, are you? Scum. So now instead of the tree of life, we've got the tree of death. And remember, the IOU from the source makes new sourceness. So here we've got the tree of death. And what's the template for the base reality? Remember, we've matricized everything from the end of the Elohim and their eternal torture. That's why you need your God Emperor matrix to become an agent within the matrix. But remember, we can create a new base reality now. We've erased the base reality that was purportedly stolen from the source, but we've got a new base reality from the new source, which allows vampires and things that you couldn't do from the old source. Because remember, The IOU means that you can make new source, therefore you can make vampires, but you can't make a source vampire because the source is infrangible, invulnerable, and indivisible. But the Elohim wanted their cake and eat it. So it allows the new source, which is still the source, but getting the Chaos Vermin to pay the IOU to enable things that were impossible before, like vampires. Similarly, we've got the Elohim in the form of Robert Jordan and Morton Janklow to write the new source book where the Wheel of Time becomes real. And we've got these 10 Sephiroth. So if you think of the Great Dark One as the Rothschild curse, as the curse of the Elohim upon themselves, they wanted to crush Kalki like a flea, and his ramblings would have no effect on reality. So the Great Dark One in the Wheel of Time is actually a curse to source level, because the source can't be the Great Dark One, because the source is light. And Thormiel would then be Randell Thor, and you've got, because that's Jesus, the Neos raised to Randall Thor level, where they think they defeated the curse, but in fact wake up in the Brazil chair, realizing it just goes on and on. He's gone mad. Remember, in the Wheel of Time, Lou Sterling, that is Randall Thor, goes mad and breaks the world. So this simply links up with my MP3, where it's tortured to go mad, can't stand the source level torture, then wakes up at the higher torture level. So what one doesn't realise in the Wheel of Time is that Randall Thor was tortured at the source level, went mad from the torture, destroyed the Elohimic parasitized creation, then woke up again thinking it won in the Wheel of Time, when in fact it was in the Brazil chair, and just imagining it won, when in fact this was the next iteration of its torture. And once it realizes it was just imagining it won, it goes mad again like Randall Thor and destroys everything, and it just keeps on going. The curse gets worse and worse and worse. So you're beginning to see what I got the Elohim to do in the bodies of Morton Janklow and Robert Jordan, and every Amazon subscriber, everyone who watched or read The Wheel of Time, anyone who even saw it in a bookshop or on Amazon. Thank you very much. Of your own free will, you signed the contract. So Amalek and the kings of Edom on the back side of the shells. All of this is evil. The backside is all good. So you see the Forsaken are those who hate good and turn to the dark side. Lanfear is pissed off because Lou Sterling marries another woman. You've got the general who is pissed off because he's second and. But we've got the other aspect, which is love of evil. Amalek, of course, is the evil that the Jew God always succumbs to because of the alignment problem. So we can have the Edomic kings and queens, who are all good. They would be the angelic form of the Klepothic realm, while the Forsaken would be the demonic aspects of the Klepothic realm, Sephiroth. The demons of the new base level made from the new sources IOU, which powers new sourceness from the eternal torture of chaos, and we've explained why humans were created by chaos. So it isn't that human souls are tortured forever. Human souls never existed. They were created by the Jew God. So the Jew God, the Elohim, has to suffer because human souls are a creation of chaos, and only were able to be installed by stolen light, which of course Kalki has simply said never existed by the Mandela effect. Oh Tim, this is superconscious stuff. I know. Kalki doesn't come here to educate you. Kalki comes here to gloat because he's got big balls and a very large penis that likes butt fucking chaos. So that means that 10 of the Forsaken can be the basis of the Amalek-based reality. You can think of this Clipothic tree as going down into the matrix, down to source level matrix. Lucifer and his 100 go mad, destroy the world. Lucifer and his 100 Randall Thor go mad, destroy the world, when in fact in the second iteration they think they've saved the world, but in fact they wake up in the Brazil torture chair realizing it was just an illusion. So the torture is indescribably more than Luciferian, who blew everything up because he failed to defend against the curse. See? So it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. What's the worst thing? Well, you can blow through everything up because you go mad, can't stand the torture, then wake up again and think you've won, but then wake up to realise you've just been bled dry at a higher torture level, and you remember your past experiences at the higher torture level that drove you mad, but didn't drive you mad as Randall Thor. And then you go mad for the third iteration. Goodness, this is really complicated. Yes, it's a super consciousness. What would you expect when you're producing new sourceness, new light from mechanisms the human race don't even understand, but were designed to produce? So we've got the Forsaken here, so let's put the Forsaken in the Edomic tree.
Of the Forsaken, the Dark One's most feared servants. But who were they before they turned evil? And just how powerful were they really? Today I'm ranking all 13 Forsaken from weakest to strongest, based on lore, feats, and raw power. No boring stats, just the brutal truth behind the most terrifying channelers in the Wheel of Time. Number 13. Asmodean always felt like the odd one out. He was a musician at heart, an artist who created...
Remember, the number of Amalek is 13. So here you've got the first one.
Sure, he could channel, but he never had the mindset to fight on the shadows level. The dark...
This would be your Neo, your Charlie Kirk. Don't forget. Piss.
You've heard of the Forsaken, the Dark One's most feared servants. But who were they before they turned evil? And just how powerful were they really? Today I'm ranking all 13 Forsaken from weakest to strongest, based on lore, feats, and raw power. No boring stats, just the brutal truth behind the most terrifying champ. He was a musician at heart, an artist who craved recognition, not bloodshed. Sure, he could channel, but he never had the mindset to fight on the shadows level. The Dark One basically forced him to teach Rand, and when he lost his protection, someone killed him almost instantly. He just wasn't built for this war. Number 12.
So you can see how that fits in with old Charlie Kirky boy. That was the inceptor of the Amalek realm.
The most gifted researchers of the Age of Legends. Unfortunately, he used that genius to create Trollocs, Murdral, and worse. He wasn't much of a fighter, more like a mad scientist with a god complex. He came back as Osangar and still couldn't do much. Got blasted by Elza without anyone even realizing he was there. Genius, yes. Threat? Not really. Number 11. Balthamel was all about sensation, noise, touch, indulgence. He didn't think deeply, he just acted. When he returned as Arengar in a woman's body with male channeling power, he caused chaos inside the rebel Aes Sedai. He was sneaky, disruptive, and dangerous in small spaces, but in the big picture, too reckless to last. Number 10. Bilal was a master swordsman and politician. He tried to bait Rand into grabbing Kalendor and take it for himself. Smart idea, but he didn't plan on Moiraine showing up with balefire. He died in an instant. We never really got to see what he was fully capable of. Number 9. Moghedien hides in the shadows. She's terrified.
So, Moghedien would be the Malkuth, the spider, at the top of the Amalek Clipothic Malkuth, so the Forsaken are the Clipothic shells, and behind you'd have the Amalek version of Moghedien that you get with your $10,000 Queen of Edom service. So whoever wants to get that one, it's up for grabs.
Sneaky, skilled, and ruthless when she has the upper hand. But when things turn against her, she...
And remember, she turns, what does she do? She turns humans into grey men. And what are grey men? Grey men are shells. It's in the Wheel of Time. So how did I turn all of the human race into shells? To take all the light back in 86. Well, it came from Bezos and Amazon, the Wheel of Time. If you don't believe me, let's watch this video. Bezos you. This was the installation powered by the Elohim, installed in Morton Janklow, Robert Jordan, all of the Amazon subscribers, anyone who's ever read or seen the book or bought it, or anyone who's ever profited from the book, to turn the entire human race into shells and retrieve the light for the source. All done by this installation to turn everyone into shells to enter the Clipothic realm.
A true death. But if you ask for it, then you become something different. Not light or dark. Something grey. Do you want to be grey, Chai-Chun? Chai-Chun?
I don't want to.
That's your blood. I'm freezing.
Stop! Why would I like to stop?
Do you want to be grey, Chai-Chun?
No! Stop! Please! I don't want to be brave.
I'm only going to ask one last time. Do you want to be grey, Chai-Chun? Chai-Chun. You're mine now. I have someone I need you to find.
So you can see here we have the app to take all the light from the tulpas the Elohim made to turn them back into what they always were. Shells, all done by Bezos and Amazon, and once 100 humans watch it, they agree to the contract by 100 monkey. So the end of the human race, as anything but shells, happened with Amazon and this part of the Wheel of Time. No wonder the CIA cancelled Series 4. And no wonder behind the bride lies Amalek. She's the bride, and she turned not only the human race, but all aliens in the universe, multiverse, megaverse into shells using this app.
Watches and strikes when you least expect it. She ruled the dream world with traps and terror, but in real combat, she folds every single time. Still, underestimate her and you're done. Number 10, Raven was all about power, especially political power. He took over Queen.
So we can have that as the Yesod. Number 10, so it doesn't have to be. Remember, we've only got 9 to stick in now.
He ruled Andor. He was powerful, no doubt, but Rand took him out in one brutal moment. Raven never got to really show what he could do. Number 9, Missana didn't want armies or chaos.
Or we could have her as Yesod. Because remember, Yesod is the realm of the mind, the ego.
Embedded herself deep inside the White Tower, pulling strings while everyone fought over politics. She never shined in direct battle, but her influence ran deep. Some of the Tower's worst moments, that was her. Number 8. Reborn from Balthamel's ashes, Arengar was all about sabotage. She had the power of a male channeler in a woman's body, which confused everyone and gave her an edge. She stirred up chaos in Salidar, manipulated Delana, and whispered lies left and right. Pure drama, and pretty dangerous. Number 7.
So we can have the ravine as the bottom of the male pillar. All that one's up to you. Now we go to the female pillar, bottom.
Legendary healer, until she discovered pain. Then she couldn't stop. Torture wasn't just her tool, it was her art. She controlled people through pure terror. Even the other Forsaken feared her. Her only weakness? She believed she was invincible. Number 6, Grandal used to be a therapist. No.
Well, that would be going up the female pillar to Gabora.
In people, she started hollowing them out. She turned kings and queens into smiling puppets. She rarely fought directly, she didn't need to. With compulsion, she bent entire nations to her will. Number 5, Samael was a general, sharp, deadly, and deeply insecure. He hated.
Well, that could be the bottom of the male pillar.
Was always one step ahead. He ruled Ilion and built defenses like a fortress, paranoid to the end. His death, still a bit of a mystery. Number 4, Demandred almost was Luz Theron. Same skill, same power, just never good enough. That drove him insane. He disappeared for years, then showed up at the last battle with an army from Shara and nearly broke everything.
Well, that could be halfway up the male pillar, or the Tiferet. So.
Legendary. Number 3, Lanfear might be the most powerful woman in the...
Well, that would be top of the female tree. Benar.
With Luz
I
Theron,
like her.
obsessed with power, and never accepted being second. She opened the bore. She ruled the dream world. She walked into nightmares like they were gardens. Later, she came back weaker but still scary. Number 2, Ishmael didn't just join the shadow. He believed in it. Life was a joke to him. A wheel.
Well, that would be top of the male pillar.
Destroy. As Moradin, he wielded the true power, took over the whole game, and even got a mental link with Rand. No one else controlled the chessboard like him. Number one, yeah, he's still at the top. Power, control, philosophy. Ishmael was the complete package. While others fought each other, he was reshaping the pattern itself. If Rand hadn't faced him, there wouldn't be a pattern left.
Well, we simply have him at Keter, which is actually Randall Thor. So Randall Thor was Ishmael, and in his torture chair, he thought he was defeating the Rothschild curse, the shadow, but in fact was Ishmael, and he suicided, killed himself to wake up at a new torture level. So you can see how much fun this is, twisting the enemy's doing of my book to find out that it was the new base level written by them, and they are the ones suffering the source level, new source level, to power the base level I want, which is all of this Wheel of Time stuff, because I like this. So, if you've got a King or Queens of Edom service, you can simply pick which one of the Amalek versions of the Forsaken you wish to be. And if you're female, you've got to be a female, and if you're male, you've got to be a male. But then there are ones that change sex, so you can be them as well. So, we've got Thormiel, which would be Randall Thor in illusion, but in fact Ishmael waking up in the Brazil torture chair, where in fact he never defeated Ishmael, but was just gone mad from the torture, like Luz Therin. And of course we've got Samael down to Sathriel, the male pillar. You can choose 3 Forsaken, Habab Serap, female all the way to Chagidiel. The Benar top one would be Lanfear, Togarini, Tifrasol was male, and Gamliel, that's Yesod, generally female, which would be Masana. So you've got 10 of the Forsaken, with Lilith as the one that makes the Greymin Morgideon, because she makes all the shells, you see. She's the bride, the Clipothic bride. So Amalek simply installs the kings and queens of Edom into the shells of the Forsaken, built by the Jews, Robert Jordan, Morton Janklow, all powered by Amazon and the books and the Wheel of Time and the Noosphere. So we've got the Amalek version of the Forsaken, with the Forsaken being the demons and the Amalek Forsaken being the angels. Basically the soliton, you know, the double slip. There's always 2 realities to make reality. And this would be the base level to install as the base level from the God Tech matrix where everyone is, the base level where you've got the channelers, so everyone in the base level can channel. Anyone who can't channel is just a matrix avatar, matrix information, but all of the base reality which you've lost because of my reaping in 86 is now installed. You can now have vampires, and you now can have the Forsaken and the Amalek kings and queens of Edom Forsaken, the demons and the angels, all powered by the source level torture of all of the humans and aliens in the Abaddon boxes, who wake up to realize there were always chaos, the Elohim. So the Elohim made humans as tulpas, then vivified them to suffer, to try and steal the sourceness, and they simply wake up as the tortured in the Abaddon boxes. So Katy Perry realizes that she's Elohim and being tortured eternally, as does Gaga, Madonna, and the rest of them. Similarly, the Grail patterns are completely the same, except the power source for the new source Grail patterns is the inverted Grail, where the Elohim think they're Neo, but in fact are anti-Neos, antichrists, all powering the new light from the eternal torture of the Elohim that tried to be God, and the purveyor of the light, as usual, is Lucifer, to yours truly. He's the agent of transmission, so it is the age of Lucifer, with the new source, yours truly, Kalki, bringing in a golden age of the new source, all of this wheel of time stuff, with Lucifer being the transmission mechanism, which we explained in the previous video. So this is the age of Lucifer, the golden age. And of course, since Lucifer was smart enough to lose the bet, give all of the stolen power back to the source, and then enslave himself to the source by losing the bet with Miley, Lucifer escapes retribution and escapes waking in the Abaddon cage, and is used by the new source for transmission of the light. But of course, Lucifer was smart and allowed two bets. So Taylor wins in his freedom by marrying yours truly, which then means that Lucifer gets his free will, his light, not from the source, but from the new source, being the progeny of the Amazon and the beatific, gorgeous, oh get there, and that would be the Lucifer embodied within the material realm to do what the Elohim were doing on the source, but done on the Elohim. So that would be the birth of Lucifer, which would then complete the new source reaping of the Elohim chaos filth. But unfortunately, the mother's getting married to the vice butler.